Our city engineer, Alex Schumann, and our IT manager, Chuck Osteen, who both served as greeters this evening. I'd like to introduce the staff and commission who sit up in front of you, to my right, your left, recording secretary, Taylor Lockhart. Next is city clerk, Susan Dodderis. Then on the commission, we have Lori Tolland from Zone 1.
Good evening, everyone, and I sincerely apologize for being late. That's not what I usually do. Anyway.
Commissioner Travis Sargent from Zone 2.
Good evening, everyone.
To my left and your right, Commissioner Susan Persis from Zone 3.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome.
And our deputy mayor's next, and Zone 4 Commissioner Harold Briley.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome.
Then we have City Manager Joy Shanahan, Assistant City Manager Claire Whitley, City Attorney Randy Hayes, and way to the left, way to your right is our police chief, both chiefs, Police Chief Jesse Godfrey and Fire Chief Howard Bailey. For those of you listening online, I'm Mayor Bill Partington. If you would at this time silence your cell phones and rise for the invocation given by Pastor Neil Ganzel from Coquina Presbyterian Church. That will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
The Christian scriptures offer a long passage of 13 verses in the book of Romans chapter 13 about what you all do and what we're supposed to be like in our relationship with you. I'm going to just read one part of it before we pray and ask. He says, this is also why you pay taxes, for the authorities are God's servant who give their full time to governing. Give everyone what you owe him. If you owe taxes, pay taxes. If revenue, then revenue. If respect, then respect. If honor, then honor. I've been here over almost 20 years, and I've never seen anything come out of this group except something that deserves our honor. Yeah, this is a wonderful, wonderful governance that we've given consistently over the almost 20 years I've been here. Thank you. Father, we thank you, and in this governance of this part of God's earth, we thank you for this commission and for over the years the consistent quality of integrity that they've shown and seriousness in the governing of this city. We thank you for each one of them. We ask you tonight to give them wisdom, and Father, give us an honoring point of view when we talk about those who have taken up this work of serving you in their governance of this beautiful county. We pray these things. I pray these things in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Audience remarks. Please address your comments to me. If you'd like to make remarks, you can fill out a card and give it to Taylor. She'll make sure we get it. And tonight we'll start. You have 3 minutes to speak on any topic not on the agenda. And tonight we start with Councilman Troy Kent.
Honorable Mayor Partington and City Commission, it is great to stand before you this evening. I hope you're having a fantastic evening with this great day we had. I come to you, by the way, Troy Kent, 130 Magnolia Drive. I come to you as a private resident, but I come to you this evening with some news. We had a county council meeting today, and I'm pleased to tell you that we unanimously, 6-0, voted today. Unfortunately, Councilman Reinhardt had to leave. Unanimously sent our staff, we gave them direction to come back to us with a resolution to do a couple of things in Volusia County. Create off-beach parking with a fee for all visitors that are from outside of Volusia County. All Volusia County residents will park at no charge. We also came back, we were asking them to come back with a plan for all Volusia County residents to be able to park on the beach at no extra charge. But all visitors visiting Volusia County will pay. We are asking them to, we've instructed our staff to come back with a rate increase for out-of-town visitors, a daily pass of $30 a day to have premium parking on that beach, $20 a day to park at our off-beach parking. It looks like this will bring in a possible close to $7 million new dollars to the county of Volusia. I'm super excited about it since I've been talking about this for years. It is not 100% there yet. So why am I talking to you all about it tonight? Because you all have the absolute most premier, best beachfront park in the state of Florida, called the Andy Romano Beachfront Park, who we named after the incredible man and principal, Andy Romano, dear friend of many of ours in the community. Our staff, if they have not already, Ms. Shanahan, will be reaching out. I think they already have. Because what I don't want as a private citizen, I don't want Ormond to miss out on the revenue, number one, because you all own that park. So you all can talk with county staff about making sure the rates are the same. It will be a revenue maker for you. But Ormond Beach residents, who by the way are taxed twice as county residents, and they voted on that bond referendum for 20 years. This way, Ormond Beach residents will have an opportunity to park there and have a parking spot at that incredible park that you have, the Andy Romano Beachfront Park. I just wanted you to know about this super positive news. In my opinion, it's the biggest news on the beach in 35 years since the county has taken over all of the beaches. And I wanted to personally come and tell you about it so that Ormond Beach can make sure that they're at the table when those decisions are being made. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. I know you had a long day, and you still took the time to come see us, so thank you. Thank you for that. Next is Patty Core.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak tonight. My name is Patty Core, and I am the Chief Operating Officer for Volusia County Schools. So thank you for the time to come and clarify a couple of misconceptions. We understand that there's some angst about the use of the former Osceola Elementary School site. As you know, it's currently being used as Tomoka Elementary while Tomoka Elementary School is being rebuilt. We're happy to report that that is on schedule and should open this summer. Once that occurs, we will be removing all of the temporary classrooms, which are the portable classrooms that are on that site. Those will come out this summer, and we will be doing some other site work there. But as you know, we do have a need. We do have, unfortunately, a space issue for some of our programs across the district. We've currently gone through 18 community meetings with rezoning across the entire district. It's not a comfortable thing always to do, but we are regulated by Florida DOE with regard to our utilization of our schools and our capacity. So when we have schools that are over capacity, before we can build a new building or before we can build a new school, the state will weigh in on schools that are in close proximity that have room. So we do have a program that we will be, the school board has voted to relocate to the Osceola site once Tomoka is out. And it's a program that's currently housed in two separate locations. And of course, from a security standpoint, why that's difficult for the principal is it's one principal who oversees two sites, and one building is in Port Orange and the other one is in Daytona. So because of the building capacity that we have, this is the space that the team got together when they looked to see where we could fit to incorporate for the sake of the students and for the administration and security, which is our primary responsibility, is to have them all in one location. So we just wanted to take a few minutes to come tonight to explain that. I know and understand, we understand that it might be upsetting for some people, but truly the district team was really looking for the best possible scenario for our students, some of whom do have some special needs or have what we call IEP, and we need them to have the administrative site there, oversight there every day on the campus to take care of them. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Lois Spies or Spies?
Hi, I'm Lois Spees, 209 Osceola Avenue, Ormond Beach. I have many questions and concerns regarding the Riverview Learning Center moving into the old Osceola school site. And I did talk to Mr. Prius today, and I believe that what we really need is a community meeting to discuss this and to find out exactly how this change will affect the neighborhood. I hope that this could be scheduled pretty soon. I know that the neighborhood has been wanting and waiting to find out what they were going to do with that site for over a year. And to find out in the, in a newspaper that they've already made a decision without any input or even the courtesy of a notice to anybody who lives literally right up next to the school seems pretty inconsiderate. So I was just hoping that the city commission could help to make sure that that happens. And I would look forward to having all this better explained and having some input and, being allowed to make suggestions. Thank you.
Thank you. Lindsay Wolf.
Hi, I'm Lindsay Wolf. I live at 156 Lucky Drive. Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and Commissioners, thank you for letting me address you this evening. I am a local real estate agent and have taught previously for the school system, so I have some experience on this topic. Putting the school version of a juvenile detention center on beachside property in Ormond Beach is insane. Is this something any one of you would want in your front yard, especially when your home is worth give or take $500,000? The amount of buyers who look for homes based on the schools in the area is astronomical, and to think that having a school like that in our neighborhood wouldn't have a detrimental impact is putting your head in the sand. I taught for OCPS previously, and I'm aware of the behavioral requirements that lands a student in a school like Riverview. The school board can say that this school rehabilitates these students, but the Parkland shooter was repeatedly sent to the exact same type of facility in his area, and we see how well that turned out for a city very close to my hometown. Reed Waimeadow died. It's enlightening. I'm not against trying to help these children, but they do not belong on beachside property in Ormond Beach. By the way, our school board rep tried to pull all of this off without any notification to our residents. None of my neighbors knew of a meeting December 5th last year. One he could have told me was taking place on Monday, November 13th, when I sat next to him at the head table for Quarterback Club and asked him specifically what the school board's intentions were with Osceola. He proceeded to tell me a few options, and when he mentioned Riverview, I pushed back. Apparently that response guaranteed he would not invite me to this meeting. The original changes with Osceola had several notifications. Why were we all left in the dark? What is in it for the school board to screw our entire community over? My question to you all now is, how, as our elected officials, are you going to represent us? Are you going to push back on this decision at all? Our taxes go to helping fund the purchases of these properties, and we should absolutely have a say in what is done with them. Taxes that you are perfectly comfortable in raising anytime you want. Taxes that, should our property values be drastically impacted, may significantly decrease your revenue and cause millage increases to the rest of our city to compensate for the loss of income. Our beachside residents do not deserve to lose hundreds of thousands of dollars in equity in their home for a move like this, especially without getting to share their opinions. I have heard from officials in other school districts and trusted property appraisers in our area, and that is exactly what is going to happen should this move take place. This is your chance to actually give me faith in politicians again, because I don't have any. Mr. Persis and the entire school board showed me what I believe to be true politicians who behave in shady manners and conduct backdoor dealings. Do me and my entire neighborhood a favor and stand up for us.
Kimberly Campbell.
Good evening. I'm Kimberly Campbell. I live at 251 South Halifax Drive. I'm a realtor and an interior designer in this community. I have been in this community since 1974. I went to Osceola myself. I'm just going to echo what the first speaker said. I think we would really benefit from a community meeting in Ormond to have a better understanding of this change with the school and what the alternative school means. There's a lot of conjecture going around and misunderstandings, and I think we just all need to understand that as residents. I 100% have always supported the Volusia County school system. I've worked hard with leaders in the system. My mother has worked for the school board. My children have attended all the schools here. I'm in full support of doing what's right for our children, but we also need to do what's right for our community, and I think that's where there's a disconnect. And we really are asking for you to understand that and hear us as the residents and allow us a meeting where this can be openly discussed and understood. Thank you.
Thank you. Linda Gardner.
Hello, I just got a text recently hearing about what was going on in my backyard. I live right behind the school and literally didn't know anything about what's going on. Oh, hello, by the way. So I'm not prepared, but one of the things before even this insanity of what might be in my backyard next was the 4-lane highway, basically, that's in my backyard. I used to have a nice beachside breeze, nice yard back there where the kids played. Now there's 4 lanes of traffic, which constantly I get in my pool, on my tables, everything. Limestone and dirt I have to clean every day, the cars, the breeze, everything. And get to smell the cigarettes and the fuel and the diesel and all that. So I'd really like something more local to be there for our community. I plan on retiring here. We walk the roads. We even feel comfortable walking at night on our streets. And it sounds like it's going to, again, decrease the values and take our safety away to have this type of thing. On the beachside is very nice, and I've been proud to live there. My grandparents, I bought the house from them. And it's part of my family. I do wish that we would have had something and had a vote, and I do wish that you would push back on their decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Josephine Levenstein.
Hello, everyone. I also didn't come very prepared, but I recently heard about this. I am a new homeowner, 185 Oleo Street, right across the street from Osceola. I volunteer there right now at Tomoka Pines. I also volunteer at Ormond Beach Middle. And I do have a lot of questions. I do want to know why no one was told about the December 5th meeting. That feels like a red flag. And I would love to see that posting. I would love to see the information. I think we definitely need a community meeting. I have a lot of questions. I understand the kids have to be somewhere. I don't really understand how there was no money to fix Osceola a few years ago, but now there's money to make all these changes for this specific purpose. But I also don't know how taking these kids from a closed building to a breezeway type of school is safe, and I don't really understand how that's going to work out. So I just have a lot of questions regarding the logistics and safety, security, pushing back on even the fencing. Like, I don't really get it, and I think there will be a lot of changes. And if we had had more information, I think less people would be this upset, and it would be much more welcomed if it did make sense. But having it happen this way, it's really hard to just sit down and say, no big deal. I have a lot of questions. I'm for the kids. Trust me, I love volunteering with them. I'd love to volunteer with there if it was safe. I don't know. I have a lot of questions looking at the building that they're going to be coming from to this building. Doesn't seem to make a lot of sense, so that's it.
Thank you. All right, and Commission, with your permission, I'm going to recognize Commissioner Sargent, who has an email from a resident on this particular matter that he wants to put into the record.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I received an email today from a Denise DeMaco. Pardon if I messed that up. She lives on Seton Trail. I won't read the whole letter into record. It's pretty long, but I will forward it to the city clerk. But it's basically saying the same things as the current residents have said in their opposition to this, and how there was no Everyone was caught off guard. I'll just paraphrase it, but I'll put it on the record, and I appreciate it, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. So that's, I believe, all the cards I have on the Riverview at Osceola decision. I'll say thank you all for coming tonight and sharing your heartfelt concerns regarding the Riverview Learning Center. While this decision is strictly within the Volusia County School Board's purview, not the City of Ormond Beach's, please know that your voices are heard and understood. We hear you. We've been through this before with the school board. We tried to keep Osceola from leaving us. We thought it would be more appropriate either as Osceola or as a K-8 school. We worked hard. We went to the school board meetings. Ultimately, we were, other than for a couple of board members, completely ignored. It was clear they had a decision point for what they wanted to do, and they did it. I feel like this is starting to turn into a similar situation, which is unfortunate. But I want you to know your concerns expressed here tonight will be relayed to the school board as long as there's no objection from the commission to doing that. The school board person spoke and then split. I was hoping I should have put her card after all of you so that they could have heard your concerns. Luckily, school board member Persis, or as I'm going to call him from now on, school board member Prius, is here this evening, and he is hearing you, and I know he'll fight for you. It's like talking to a brick wall. I can tell you that from a couple years ago. Actually, talking to a brick wall is more satisfying because you're not expecting a response. It's very frustrating, and so I feel for you. I know our commission feels for you as well, but it is squarely their decision. It clearly seems they've made up their mind what they're going to do. One point that I can't leave out of the mix is in a way, it's good that they're considering it for some type of school use, because honestly, I expected them to sell it for condos or for a real estate neighborhood to happen there. I don't think anybody wanted to see that either. And so I think it probably comes down to a discussion of what's the appropriate use. But I just tell you, you've got your work cut out for you. We'll be there with you, but your commitment to our community doesn't go unnoticed. So your choice will be at the school board meeting on March 12th at 4:30 p.m. That's a Tuesday. They don't make it easy for you. You have to drive all the way to DeLand. Like I said, we did that a couple years ago, and it was like talking to a wall. But I wish you luck. The 12th, if I can make it, I'm happy to be there. Someone else from the council may be willing to be there to speak with you, but it's a tough battle. So, anyone else on the commission want to address that? Deputy Mayor Bradley?
Commissioner Tom. Well, I was
Go
just
ahead.
going to say, Mr. Mayor, and I appreciate you all coming out this evening and sharing your thoughts and concerns with us. And I think they're well-founded. I think you have legitimate concerns. And, Mr. Mayor, my suggestion would be if we can recommend, I mean, I know the school board doesn't have to listen to us, but I would think it would be beneficial, if nothing else, as a couple of the speakers have mentioned, for the school board to conduct a community meeting with the residents so they can understand what they're proposing. It may relieve some concerns, it may not, but I think it would just give another layer of maybe transparency to those folks to have a community meeting with the residents to, explain what their plans are for that property, whether it be Riverview or anything else. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Tomlin.
Yes, thank you. And Harold, you said exactly what I want to say. Community input's really important. It doesn't always mean that it's listened to, but it can help and you increase dialogue, maybe decrease some extra concerns. I'm wondering, is there anything that we can do as a commission? Can we write a letter, at least to let the entire school board know how we feel and what we want to do? Is that appropriate or not? Or if in your experience, is there anything else we can do to be proactive?
I think, yeah, I certainly can write a letter, and I'll let Commissioner Sargent speak as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have lots. I was going to save this for my closing comments, but I appreciate the time now, Mr. Mayor. And thank you to the residents for coming out today. You know, we fought this battle back in 2021 before I was elected. I went out to the school board. I did diagrams of how many sex offenders were around each location. There was 13 at Ortona, 3 at Osceola. It didn't seem to matter, and I'd like to just read a couple comments from back then of what happened then to where we are today. Councilman Kent, who at the time was city commissioner, and he wrote, "It is more than unfortunate that this has happened during a global pandemic because Ormond Beach residents would have come out screaming against this. Everything about this just didn't feel right." And then I read on, I believe it was Facebook, somewhere, former mayor and county chair Ed Kelly wrote on Facebook, "Seems to be an expensive use of valuable property. Taxpayers lose again, and we will have to spend several dollar signs to make it usable. Just check your property tax bill and you will see almost 40% goes to schools." Some questions I have, and I wish Ms. Kaur would have stayed around because I knew she was coming tonight, and unfortunate she can't answer these questions, but I wish she would have come before and addressed this before the council or the school board took a vote. Like, she's coming here to clean up the mess that had already been taken. Where was she being proactive on this? Who will be paying for the resource officer? Is the school board going to be coming to us in a few weeks saying, we need money from Ormond Beach residents to pay for this, like they did to the county council at the last minute after they had already approved their budget, and here they come in saying, we need money, and council thankfully said no, and then they got kind of shunned because now they don't want resource officers. That's not what the case was. They didn't want to pay for it, especially when taxpayers are already paying for it to the school board. There wasn't a neighborhood meeting. I can't lock down this. No one knew about it. They made a decision. No one knew about it. And maybe if the facts were out there, or maybe if people knew about it, maybe they'd be okay with this. But they're not. And this is, once again, I asked for a report this week of how many students elope on a weekly basis from this school. I was told the school board can't provide such a report. I don't know. I mean, I'm with Commissioner Tolan. I'd like to send a letter asking the school board to reconsider their decision. And also, I'd like to point out, because I don't think it, you know, I keep hearing about these students, and I do believe they deserve a home. But I'd like to read to you, if you don't mind, Mr. Mayor, about Riverview. And there's 3 classes, or 3 programs, if you will, of these students. EBD, which is extreme behavior, EBDI, which is mental health, you know, kids that have mental health concerns. And then there's district student placement committee. And these are the students that have pulled fire alarms, instigated major fights, brought guns to school, knives to school. This is a serious current concern for me for Zone 2-1. I did not know about this, Mr. Mayor, until I went out to my to get my paper on last Thursday, and on the front page of it, that's where I learned about it. No one had the common courtesy to call me as the city commissioner of Zone 2. I asked the city manager if she was notified. She was not. I don't know if any other commissioners were notified, but you know, I'm just very frustrated with this. And so I went to the school boards and I pulled off their flow chart, if you will, of leadership. And at the very top of it is the citizens of Volusia County. And then comes the school board. Now, why did the school board make a decision for these residents in this area without telling their bosses anything? So I leave you with that, Mr. Mayor. I'm very frustrated, and I think these residents deserve better from the school board, I'll tell you that. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Understood. So Commissioner Sargent, I heard a motion to write a letter to the school board, each member and the school board, Ms. Balgobin, one, to reconsider the decision, and two, to hold a community meeting, getting input from their residents. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Commissioner Tolland
We'll
seconded
second it.
that?
Yes, please.
Any other discussion? Anyone? Commissioner Persis, did you want to? Okay. All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, and Joyce will show that. Passing unanimously. I'm happy to sign it on behalf of the board if you want to do it that way, or if everybody wants to sign, however you want to handle it. Okay.
Sign, otherwise we'd have to have another meeting for everybody to approve.
Okay. Happy
Thank you,
to
Mr.
do that.
Mayor.
Yep. All right, we'll continue with audience remarks. I have Caroline Myers.
Good evening. The mayor, city manager, and the commissioners. My name is Caroline Myers. I'm the executive director for the Ormond Beach Housing Authority for the past 8 years. I am here seeking some guidance or collaborated effort of a recurring issue that occurs on our property at Ramsey Terrace. I am being proactive to see how we can alleviate the influx of water during heavy rain or hurricane.
I can't hear you. I'm so sorry.
Okay. Sorry about that. I'm being here proactive to see how we can alleviate the influx of water during heavy rain or hurricanes that comes through our region. There is an outflow drainage box located behind 5 Ramsey Terrace that should provide adequate drainage, but does not. During bad weather, water accumulates on the property, posing a threat to our units and the tenants that occupies them. For example, when Hurricane Ian passed through our area, the water rose as high as the step at the entryway of the unit and took several days for it to drain. And even due times of heavy rainfall, the water rises so significantly, making it difficult for the tenant to enter or exit the property. So tonight, I am hoping we are able to garner the support of the city and or obtain appropriate direction of how to rectify that problem proactively. I appreciate the time and assistance that can be offered. I have also some pictures, I don't know if you want me to share it with you all,
Sure.
of what transpires on the property.
You can either hand them up to me, I'll make sure the clerk gets them and each of the commissioners sees them. 5 Ramsey Terrace. Sure thing. It's east of the car wash, and then there's a home there too for substance abuse counseling. Kind of on the corner of Orchard and.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, we'll be happy to reach out to Ms. Myers and find out what her issues are.
Appreciate that.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you. And Reverend Branch, I've got your card. Did you want to wave in support of staff reaching out? Or you can speak if you want.
Can I speak now?
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Well, good evening. I'm Reverend Willie Branch, Chairman of the Ormond Beach Housing Authority for the past 8 years. I've neglected to come before y'all in the past. I wanted to come in December, but I had a death in the family. I lost my brother. So I'm now here to give you a report on the fantastic Ormond Beach Housing Authority. When I came to the authority, we rated less than 50% on our audits. Since then, we progressively have been improving. Till our last audit, we rated 103%. Our properties are now being upgraded thanks to the work of Ms. Caroline Meyer and her staff. The residents have the understanding that these are not projects, these are affordable housing for them to utilize to maybe be a stepping stone for them to get better housing once housing is affordable elsewhere, which is very difficult right now. But I just wanted to stop by and I hadn't been here in a while.
We missed you.
And to let you know that OBHA is alive and well, and if anything that we can do to work collectively with the city to make things better, we do have a plan in action right now to expand to 50 units. We're currently at 41. There's a need. Our waiting list is over 200. Section 8, we have over 200 vouchers that's currently being managed. But we're trying to do the best we can with what we have. And we welcome either of you, if not all of you. Come by and visit sometime. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend. Stan Driscoll.
Mr. Mayor, members of the commission, and city manager, I'm here not to complain. I'm here to ask you to do something. Unlike our neighboring cities, code enforcement in Daytona, Port Orange, Holly Hill are proactive. If the code enforcement sees a violation, they deal with it. Ormond, by policy, is a complaint-based system. A neighbor has to complain about somebody for code enforcement to be involved. The obvious thing is, I don't want to complain about my neighbor. State law says if you complain about your neighbor, you have to provide your name and address. And now we have a few. It doesn't happen. So if you adhere to the broken glass theory, if you allow these code enforcement violations to continue, little by little, there's a degradation of our city. And I like to quote, Ormond's a little bit better, a little bit nicer than everybody else, and I don't want to see any degradation of that. So what I'm asking from you is a policy change. Code enforcement cannot change to a proactive system unless the commission makes a policy change. Impacts. Chief Godfrey can tell you, he runs a good department. Do I need more people? I suspect he will need more people because that would assume the number of code violations that the citizens are reporting is relatively low, so we don't need a whole lot more people. Well, we know that's not true. City manager in communications said there might be a need to look at the codes. I don't understand that at all. If I see a code violation and say, there's a junk car in that yard, and that initiates the action, or a code enforcement officer sees it, and that initiates the action, the code's the same. There's no change to the code. So I don't understand that. So I'm asking that you make a policy change as a commission and say, we wish to go to a proactive code enforcement or proactive / volunteer, whatever you want to describe it, that the chief decide then what's the best way to implement that. That's my request. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, Commission, the minutes from the City Commission meeting of February 20th, 2024 have been sent to you. Any additions, deletions, or corrections?
Move approval.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. We'll show those passing unanimously. And we are now on consent agenda. Commission, does any member wish to pull any of the consent agenda items?
I move approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Please call the vote.
Commissioner Sargent?
Yes.
Commissioner Persis?
Yes.
Commissioner Briley?
Yes.
Commissioner Tolland?
Yes.
Mayor Partington?
Yes. Now would be the appropriate time if any commissioner wishes to comment on any of the consent agenda items, and we'll start with Commissioner Sargent.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to comment on consent item A. This was for us to update our website and streaming and recording system. This was one of my campaign promises, and I'm happy that this is moving forward. This will help with transparency with our residents to be able to view and listen to meetings, gather data, whether it's agendas or whatever other information will be easier accessed on our website. So I'm very pleased that we were able to move this forward. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Persis.
Yes, I was just wanting to thank Commissioner Sargent for doing all that. Your campaign promises are really going to help us, so I really appreciate that. But I also wanted to comment on item C. I'm very excited that each fire station will have a gear washer, for each station. I think that's really important that they have those things that they need. You can't do your job until you have the right equipment, so I'm really thankful that we're getting that for our fire stations. Thank you.
Absolutely. Anyone else? Good deal. We'll move to resolutions, and I'll ask the clerk to read 7A.
Resolution number 2024-36, a resolution pursuant to Section 8-4, subsection 8, liens of the City of Ormond Beach Code of Ordinances, authorizing the imposition of a lien against the real property located at 29 Rockefeller Drive, Ormond Beach, Volusia County, Florida, parcel ID number 4223-02-02-0140, upon costs incurred by the city to demolish an unsafe structure and setting forth an effective date. This is resolution number 2024-36, read by title only.
Thank you, Susan. And I don't have any cards.
I move approval of resolution number 2024-36.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion or questions for our planning director on this one? Commissioner Sargent.
Just have a question. Do we know if, I know this house was in a fire, do we know if they had insurance to cover this cost? Or, I know we're putting a lien on it, but maybe there was insurance that we could collect on to go down a different avenue?
Steven Spraker, Planning Director. I am not aware if they have insurance. I'm aware that they haven't moved forward in the demolition of the structure, which then forces the city to do so. So we're not aware if they have insurance. We're just aware that they're not in the process of demolishing the structure.
Does this lien incur any interest throughout the years, or?
I think it's a lien on the property of the property appraiser's office. Is that correct?
City attorney is nodding his head, so I would say yes.
Yes.
I just didn't read that, so I apologize. Thank you. That's all I have. Thank you.
Anyone else? Please call the vote.
Commissioner Persis?
Yes.
Commissioner Briley?
Yes.
Commissioner Tolland?
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent?
Yes.
Mayor Partington?
Yes. And 8A, this is a discussion and direction item regarding the renaming of the McDonald House to the Stout McDonald House. And I'll ask Planning Director Steven Spraker to speak on this item, and then we've got a couple cards as well.
Good evening, Steven Spraker. This is a discussion item regarding the McDonald House. Starting in 2016, there was a report commissioned on the McDonald House. It became known as the Bender Report. That Bender Report had a recommendation to change the name to the Stout McDonald House. Margaret Allison Stout was the original owner of the structure. I believe she owned it, or her family owned it till like 1940. The Historic Landmark and Preservation Board has made recommendations to amend the name. If there is direction to amend it, it would need to amend our local landmark list, which go to the planning board, and then back to the city commission for a couple readings. And I believe there's some Historic Landmark Preservation Board members here to address the commission.
Thank you, Stephen. Any questions for Stephen? Makes good sense, I think, and the staff report was well done. First card I have is Dr. Philip Shapiro.
Dr. Philip Shapiro, 140 Old Mill Run, Chair, Historic Landmarks Preservation Board, City of Ormond Beach. Mayor Partington, Commissioners, staff, thank you so very much for this opportunity to address you on the Historic Landmarks Preservation Board's long-standing request to change the legal name of the McDonald House at 38 East Granada Boulevard to the Stout McDonald House. In 1903, Margaret Stout built the home that we now call the McDonald House. 38 years later, in 1941, Billy McDonald and his family purchased the home, and by 1979, the structure eventually became a city-owned property. It now serves as the city's welcome center and is on our city's local landmarks list. The Landmarks Board for a number of years has requested, both by vote and discussion, to rename the McDonald House to its true legal name, the Stout McDonald House, and amend that name on the city's local landmarks list. Our community has a rich historical heritage, and we strive to promote our city for residents and visitors alike. Historical accuracy, as recommended in the 2016 Bender Report, should be to rename the McDonald House to the Stout McDonald House as part of the effort to maintain our cultural and historical identity as a community. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. And Suzanne Hetty.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I am Suzanne Hetty, the troublemaker that started all this fuss. First of all, I'd like to compliment the staff on the report that they've done. It was a thorough review, a very thorough review of all the discussions that have gone on since 2017, which is 7 years ago. When the Bender report came to the Landmark Preservation Board, we made a recommendation to the City Commission that the name on the historic landmarks list be changed to the Stout McDonald House. Period. The historic landmarks list. We had a discussion about what would entail to change the name of the house. And we decided by consensus that that was not a good idea, and it was not what we were thinking about. You know, so what's before you tonight, in my opinion, is to rewrite history in a way and change the historic city local landmarks list only. And it seems to be a problem. I mean, it seems to have to go through the Land Development Code. This came about because I was doing some research on another building on Granada, and I happened to look at the historic landmarks list, and I noticed that the name hadn't been changed. So I brought it up at the meeting at the fall of 2023 and was told that, oh, the City Commission has already looked at this recommendation and it was not approved. That meeting with the City Commission was never introduced to the Landmark Preservation Board to give us a chance to come and talk to you. Dr. Shapiro did a great job of talking about Margaret Stout, so I won't go into that. You have a chance to rewrite history. You have a chance to correct history. The woman's name deserves to be on the local landmarks list official name. To negate her accomplishments would be a real travesty. This was a single businesswoman, a Scottish immigrant, who built and designed a Queen Anne Victorian on the beachside. So lastly, I want to bring up the fact again about the naming and the fact that we recommended that you keep the normal name, the familiar name as we call it, instead of the historically accurate name that's on the local landmarks list that Dr. Shapiro talked about. So that is our request. And the name McDonald just flows off your tongue, McDonald House. People know it at that. And with the renovation that Bill Jones is doing for the Billy's Tap Room, the name of McDonald is going to be even more important. So please, keep the building the way it is for its name. If you want to do signage, that's going to be a whole nother discussion, guaranteed. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Commission? I don't have any other cards. Commissioner Persis.
I just wanted to respond to well, you could stay there. You don't have to come back to Suzanne Hetty and Dr. Shapiro. I think this is just long overdue. I think this is just a no-brainer. I can't even believe the name was omitted. So I'm just So I move that we accept the Stout McDonald House.
Second.
Moved and seconded.
Mr. Mayor.
Commissioner, Deputy Mayor Breyer.
Yes, sir. I just, I want to thank the work of Dr. Shapiro and Suzanne Hetty for this. This is a long time coming. I will disclose that every once in a while when you start to change the name of something, you run the risk of stepping on toes. So I did speak to Thomas McDonald yesterday because I said, Thomas, this is coming before us, so on and so forth. And Thomas gave this his blessing. He said it's historically appropriate. So with that, I said, well, I have no problem now voting for this because it has the blessing of McDonald House. And Thomas was also very complimentary that the city has, saved the house. So with that, Mr. Mayor, I'll be supporting this. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I just want to thank Dr. Shapiro and Ms. Hetty as well. There's nothing better than being accurate with your history, and it seems it is the right thing to do. I just have one question. I really wasn't familiar with this discussion before. Obviously, I wasn't on the commission. Is there a piece that we're missing that I didn't hear? I mean, did it ever come in front of the commission for a vote?
I think we've talked about it over the years, but I don't think there's any.
So it never moved forward. All right.
And correct me if I'm wrong, I mean, staff has a million things to do. This is a million and one. I think we're finally getting it to it. The main thing was to get it fixed, which took us quite a while going through the ECHO process to get it where it is now. So now it's time for the next step.
And I agree, the McDonald family is perfectly fine with making the change and making history happen the way it's, or be written the way it's supposed to be. So, thank you.
And if I'm hearing this correctly, the sign won't even have to change. It'll still be McDonald House out front, just
We
historically
can call it whatever
referenced.
we want, but we just got to get it accurate with the name.
In the microphone, please there, Suzanne. Microphone for us, thank you.
Speak loud enough if you didn't. Important comment. On the staff report on page 2, the financial impact, I would change one word. It says, just what we're talking about, if there is a direction to pursue a renaming of the McDonald House to Stout McDonald House, the signage would need to be changed. No. Insert one word. If we make a direction to do this, signage would not need to be changed.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Please call the vote.
Commissioner Briley?
Yes.
Commissioner Tolland?
Yes.
Commissioner Sargent?
Yes.
Commissioner Persis?
Yes.
Mayor Partington?
Yes. We are now at reports, suggestions, and requests, and we start with City Manager Joyce Shanahan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've got a little bit longer list than normal. First of all, upcoming meetings, March 19th, that's going to be our Tomoka Oaks meeting. That's going to be at 6 p.m. at the PAC, so we'll get a chance to use our newly renovated facility. We will have internet access for those viewing at home, and so we're excited about offering that. A couple of reminders about upcoming meetings and workshops, and you don't need to write these down because I'll send them out to you. April 2nd, these are, it's going to be a workshop. What time are we starting? 5:30 would be part 1 of our CIP updates, Casson Park, overnight docking, and that's really not a CIP, but we want to talk about that. Andy Romano Beachfront Park, let you know where we're at with that. Miscellaneous project updates. April 16th would be another CIP, Strategic Planning Initiatives update, where we're at with the EOC and 56 North Beach Street property. And again, you don't have to write them down. I'll send them all out to you. May 7th, technology upgrades to the City Commission. So you heard the first tonight was updating the website. And so the second piece will be updating this room to accommodate new screens and whatnot. And then we've talked about the GAI study, the Riverbend property, so we'll be bringing that back to you. We'll have individual meetings to refresh you on that, first of all, and then have a workshop on May 7th to talk about that. Let's see, what else do I got? I wanted to let you know that we're part of the AFG, let's What's the first A stand for? Firefighter grant? Firefighter Assistance Grant. I think it's Assistance to Firefighters Grant, actually. We're partnering with Daytona Beach and the city of Holly Hill to, Daytona Beach has applied for a mobile breathing air trailer. So what does that really mean? That means that there's a trailer that can be deployed on scene throughout the communities, those 3 communities, to refill the air tanks of firefighters while they're there so they don't have to go back to the station. Daytona Beach will be applying for that grant. We're partnering, we'll enter in an MOU for them with that grant, and there's no financial responsibility on behalf of the city. And they'll just call that piece of equipment up like they would any other piece of equipment from another agency. So we're really excited about that. In your next water bill, you will see, I don't know if you've got that. Do you have that? Yes. Oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't see it. We have on the water bill a QR code which will take you to neighborhood improvements so that you can, that'll be right on your water bill. You asked for that at your last meeting or a couple meetings ago, and we're happy to put that on there. Likewise, you've asked for a Citizens Academy. And so we've worked out a schedule for that. It'll be April 18th through May 23rd. And we'll give you all the details on this, and we'll do a good job of putting out on that. It'll be a government 101 on how it works. Then the police department and neighborhood improvement will talk to the folks. Then we'll have the fire department and emergency operations, public works and utilities, planning and economic development, and leisure services, and then graduation. So we think we can take about 28 students on the first run. Kudos to Susan as she put all of this together and has had prior experience with this, so we're really excited about that. And we hope to launch the first of that in April 18th. So we'll let you know how that comes. We'll be putting out an announcement about how to apply if you're interested in participating in that. And I think that might be, oh, okay, I got one, sorry. So we're really excited about that. You've already noticed, and Mayor, thank you for bringing that to everyone's attention, the beautiful pictures of the former mayors and the current mayor, as well as the former commission and the current commission. And then we have recognized those mayors that have previously served. We could not find a lot of the pictures. Commissioner Briley seems to think he has a hookup to get us some past pictures, and we'll be so excited to receive those. And we'll continue to, that'll be a dynamic wall. It'll continue to build and grow as our commission changes over time. But interestingly enough, we have a lot of stability on our commission, as you can see over there, so we're really excited about that. Just to give you a few updates on future happenings at Leisure Services. If you're interested in outdoor yoga, they do that at the Environmental Discovery Center on Friday, March 8th at 10 a.m. Please contact the EDC to register. A Blues Brother tribute is coming to the Performing Arts Center on March 15th at 7:30 p.m. And the tickets are $34 to $39. Contact the Performing Arts Center box office. Rockabilly Rockets to perform at PAC on March 16th, 7 p.m. We're so excited about all these shows coming back to the PAC. Once Upon a Story Time is our story time for children ages 4 and under. You have to call ahead to register because people just bring every baby out in the world, and it's just the most wonderful thing to see. So there's no cost to participate, but we don't have enough space to accommodate everybody, so that's it. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have for me.
Questions for the city manager, Commissioner Sargent?
Just one real quick one. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On the Citizens Academy, is there any way we can record that so some of the information could be readily available for residents that can't attend? Or anything?
We're going to continue to offer that. It's going to be a rotating one, so we're not going to be necessarily recording that because we don't really have the ability to do that.
Thank you.
But it's not going to be a one and done type of thing. It's going to be, hopefully we can do it like once a quarter.
Any other questions? Thank you, Joyce. Assistant City Manager Claire Whitley. Thank you. Assistant City Attorney. City Attorney Randy Hayes. Yeah, we promoted Ann Margaret while you were gone. Sorry.
You miss one meeting, see what happens, right?
City Attorney Randy Hayes.
Nothing this evening, thank you.
All right, and tonight we start our comments with Commissioner Persis.
Wonderful. Good evening, everyone. I think this was a great meeting. I love how our residents came out and told us how they felt about things so that we can work on doing things better. And I think we all need to hear these kind of things every now and then. So hopefully we'll get everything straightened out with that school situation. And so our residents won't be so worried about it. I wanted to say I was very, let's see, Commissioner Sargent, Deputy Mayor Briley, and I went to the Wendelstadt Field, I guess it was last week. They have some major improvements that they've made at that ball field, and Seabreeze uses it. It's just a beautiful, beautiful place for these young people to play. I was just so impressed with it. It's wonderful what we're offering for our children with our leisure services department. I'm very just thrilled with it. It was just a wonderful day, and Principal Tucker Harris was out there and just so thrilled, and the baseball players were all out there, and just they were so happy to have such a nice area for them. And the last thing I don't have many comments tonight, but the last thing I would like to say is I really did appreciate Mr. Driscoll coming tonight and speaking to us about the code enforcement. It's something I am concerned with. We do have some areas in our city that don't look good, and they're starting to look worse. And I know it's a money issue, it's a staff issue, it is an issue, but my concern is I don't want Ormond Beach to look bad ever, because we are a great city, we are a beautiful city. So I would like to maybe get all of us to agree to work on something. Maybe in one of our workshops we could bring it up. I know you talked on April 16th, Ms. Shanahan, about the strategic planning. Maybe we could pop that in there for 10 minutes. I'm not sure, just to see maybe what we could do. No?
Probably need a
whole
whole
workshop.
workshop just on
Okay.
that down the
Okay.
road, maybe a couple months.
I just wanted to see if everyone was in agreement.
I just want to say, Susan, I totally agree with you. I think we need to look at our code enforcement, and I would love to address it. I think we have a lot of workshops and topics that we've already kind of put in place.
Yes.
I'd like to see that followed through, but I would like to include code enforcement as a discussion.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah. I've had so many residents contact me. I was riding my bike today, actually, and I got off and I had 3 of my neighbors approach me about some, issues right where I live, and they are bad, and they've gotten worse over the years. So we've got to get a handle on this, I think.
I would like to say, Mr. Mayor, I talked to the city manager about this in length, and I know that she was talking about it because it's a lot further in depth than just changing. I mean, there's potential budget issues that items that we need to address with whether we have to hire more people, or it's not just as simple as changing the ordinance back to the way it was in 2007 to go back to a proactive approach versus reactive. We need to do it the right way, and I think it's going to take a lot more than 10 minutes. It would be a full workshop for staff, and I think we have a lot on our plate for the next month, but maybe after that, it would be my recommendation. Maybe 2 months, Joyce.
May 21st, I think, would be the next opening for a
Sorry to interrupt.
for a workshop.
Bring it up.
Joyce, is that okay? May 21st?
No, I'm not sure we're going to be ready by then, Mr. Mayor. What I would suggest is maybe we wait till the budget time and talk about it somewhere maybe early June.
June 4th?
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay. And Commission, I think that's unanimous to discuss that? Good deal. Yeah, it would be good to include it with the budget. Good deal. Anything else, Commissioner Persis?
No, that's it. Thank you very much.
Deputy Mayor Briley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do want to mention that Commissioner Tolland and I were here a week ago Monday for Congressman Waltz was in town, and had the military academy candidates here in the commission chambers and their families, and presented them with their certificates. Not all of them have been accepted yet. There were a few that were, but we're very proud of our local, and I say local, kids in the area that have been accepted to these academies. I mean, they were from all over the district. So I mean, there were some here from Marion County and Brevard County and further north and further, west and south. So it was a great event. The commission chambers were absolutely packed, and we were, the Congressman Waltz says that's one of his favorite nights of the year is to do that. So we were certainly glad to have him here for that. That was the same night I did see the mayor's wall. That was something I kind of pushed some time back. Susan, thank you very much for that. You did a fine job. You and the staff did a great job. I will work on getting you a few more pictures. But that is something that I told Ed Kelly that I would work on. He mentioned it about 20 years ago, about having a mayor's wall. So I'm glad we got that up, and it looks great. Thank you. As Commissioner Persons has said, Commissioner Sargent and Commissioner Persons and I attended the ball field ribbon cutting out at the Windelstedt Field number 1 prior to a Seabreeze Deltona game, and they've done a fantastic job with that field. Kudos to Robert and everyone at Leisure Services for the great work they do out there. That brings me up, the Citizens Academy, and thank you. That was something else I kind of pushed for when I was running, and that was kind of a campaign promise and something I've kind of pushed to kind of give it a little more education and transparency for our residents to learn more about our city government. Thank you for putting that together, Joyce. Thank you, Susan, for helping put that together. That's going to be, I think, a great thing for our city. Last but not least, I want to give out a huge thanks. Sometimes you bring up or mention an issue at a city commission meeting during member comments, and you get a phone call. And I got a phone call from actually it was out at the ball field, so it wasn't a phone call. But Robert Carolyn approached me about taking a tour of our recreational facilities, and I just want to tell you, I spent 2 half days with Robert and Stephen touring. I think Robert was at all of our playgrounds within the city of Ormond Beach and looking at the equipment, and I've got to tell you, we have fantastic recreational and playground equipment for our children. Some of these parks was a pocket park over, well, I guess it was Milton Pepper Park over there at the old Eleanor Village. I wasn't very familiar with, but sometimes you just don't know some of these parks and playgrounds exist, and especially I think what it was is I had mentioned facilities for children with special needs to be able to play with other kids, and boy, we do have that in Ormond Beach. And I think part of the issue, and I discussed it with Robert, is a lot of our folks just don't know about it. So we talked about maybe the possibility of getting maybe some social media blasts about did you know Ormond Beach has 13 playgrounds with amenities for children of all needs. And but I really appreciate that. I did also just kind of touring our facilities kind of realize how much help Robert needs. I mean, I think we discuss code enforcement and other things and budgetary impacts. We have to think about this moving forward because we always, we discuss we need more police officers, we need more firefighters, we have sidewalks that are in disrepair, we have infrastructure needs, and we also have needs with leisure services as well. So I think that's something we have to consider, moving forward. But I do want to thank Robert and Stephen for 2 fantastic days of showing me around our city's recreation facilities. With that, Mr. Mayor, I'll say goodnight. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Tolland.
Thank you. First thing that I kind of hit tonight was when I'm excited we're going to be using the PAC for one of our meetings. I mean, we now have a beautiful facility. We don't have to go into a church. Hopefully the lighting won't be right in our eyes, so we'll be able to see. That always is a problem when we've gone to these big mega churches. But we are grateful that they do open their doors to us, and I don't mean to seem ungrateful, but I'm happy to use our facilities. And Commissioner Briley talked about the night that with Senator Waltz, and I was impressed with the young men and women that were nominated and appointed to the military academies. It just kind of warms your heart to see these young people and see their commitment and see their hard work being rewarded. Quite a few have already been appointed to even multiple academies, and I was really proud of the young women especially. I thought they really were rock stars. But a lot are still waiting to hear their appointments. And, of course, having them in our city hall with that group is awesome, because then we get to, have that relationship and see how our kids fare out. Announcement-wise, the Florida Scenic Highway is having a workshop in Mount Dora tomorrow. And our own Florida Byway Scenic Loop Group will be presenting at that workshop. So Nancy Galdo has put together a big project, and she's come before us before talking about a gateway for the scenic loop. That's not what her talk is tomorrow, but it's just really nice that we are part of that and we represent well. We've already talked about the code enforcement, so thank you, Commissioner Persis, for bringing that up. I am excited about getting that as a discussion item. And I do want to applaud publicly Troy Kent and Volusia County for what they are looking to do with the beach and increasing revenue for us. We certainly can never say no to increasing funds in our city. And so I hope that we can, stay proactive on that, as Ormond Beach residents, and maybe receive a little income on some of the proposals from the county. And with that, I'm going to say goodnight and thank you all.
Thank you. Commissioner Sargent.
One page.
Wow, I'm impressed. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, I'd like to start off by thanking staff for cleaning up the homeless camp on North Center Street. Months ago, we cleaned up another camp on Orchard behind Office Depot. And as you know, you clean up one, they move to the next property. And, the process does work. It takes time. First, we have to identify the vacant lot, who owns the property. They have to fill out the paperwork and turn it in to the city, and then post no trespassing signs, and then the law enforcement can go out and enforce it. The problem is we have to identify all the vacant property because they move from one to the other. So if you see something, it's very important that you report it to someone so that we can identify the property owner to be more proactive on these things, because once they pop up, my goodness, they get out of control pretty quickly. So thank you, staff, for law enforcement. I know it's not easy to go out to these camps, and I know I talked to the chief about it, and they offer these people that are living in these camps a place to go. And unfortunately, most of them don't want a place to go. They just go to the next empty lot. So thank you, staff. I appreciate it. Ike Leary, good to see you. We have a workshop coming up soon to talk about Casson Park. The ball's moving. Thank you for all you do for the community. Thank you to all the residents that came out tonight. This has been a touchy subject for me at Osceola. I went to school there. I have an 83-year-old mother-in-law who lives by herself, who lives directly across the street from the school. So I have serious concerns with this, and the lack of communication that goes on time and time again. The city of Ormond has done such a great job of being very transparent, and I think our residents have appreciated that. And unfortunately, I just don't see that coming from the school board, and I hope maybe with this it'll change. It took me over a year to get a resident who had a portable backed up to her lanai and the AC running all the time. It took a year for the school board to get this issue corrected. They have not been a good partner for the city of Ormond in my eyes from what I've seen. And I also would like to, when it comes up for the renewal of the resource officer at Ormond Beach Middle School, I think the city of Ormond Beach should rethink that, and that the school board should start paying that cost. They already are receiving money from our taxpayers, and I think it's time to let them pay for that resource officer at Ormond Beach Middle School. On the code enforcement issue, I know June is a long time away to get this rectified. I've told people time and time again, if you are not or don't feel safe reporting on your neighbor or whatever it may be, send it to me. I'll report it under my name. My cell phone number's out there, my email. I'm happy to report it under my name so that you don't have to feel threatened or anything. So I know the city manager's probably over there saying, be careful what you ask for. But I signed up for it. I'm here to represent the people, and if that's what it takes, give me a call or shoot me an email. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner. And the workshop on the homeless compassionate anti-camping ordinance, I think, is coming up. Maybe May 21st. I know we unanimously asked for that at the last meeting. I think the Florida legislature is going to be passing some legislation that may help us with that. But yeah, the violence, the unsanitary conditions, and other harsh conditions experienced not only by the homeless residents of those areas, but by our residents, and our residents being accosted when they go to businesses in and around those areas. Very troubling, very concerning, and I think it's something that we need to take action on. I've had a lot of questions from the public since that last meeting. When is the workshop going to be? We want to be there. We want to hear about it. So I look forward to getting that issue well underway. Coming up soon, I think our staff is going to issue an RFP for insurance matters in the city. And in talking with the city manager, she's indicated she doesn't believe it's appropriate for staff to meet with interested folks who would like to put in a proposal. I think that's wrong. And Commission, I'd like you to weigh in on that. I think in order to be fair and transparent through the process, that it's entirely appropriate for our staff to meet with whoever wants to meet with them, get all the documents that they can get, that they may have questions on, get any questions that they have answered. It should be as complete and accurate and transparent a process as possible. And so I just wanted to ask you, Commission, prior to that RFP coming to us, if there is an insurance company that wants to bid on that and they're asking to meet, and I realize the city manager may not be the appropriate person to meet with, but whoever the appropriate person to meet with, I think our staff should make themselves available so that it's, again, a fair and transparent process. Does anybody disagree with that? Deputy Mayor Briley.
Mr. Mayor, I don't disagree. I would just like to hear what staff's concern is.
We answer questions, we're responsive to them, but we don't generally meet with folks prior to their submittal. So, I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you, folks in the insurance industry tell me they meet with cities all the time. It's a very common practice prior to the RFPs going out. So I don't know why we're different in that regard, but I want to address it now before it becomes a problem down the road.
So what you're saying is before I draft the RFP, you want me to meet with these folks?
If they want to meet with you. Okay. Some people may have no interest whatsoever, but other people may have an interest. So just to make sure that it's as fair and transparent as possible, I think it doesn't have to be you. It can be whoever's deeply involved in the RFP process. Commissioner Paul.
I was just thinking that, whenever we have RFPs, it's always good to gather as much information as we can. And if anybody that wants to bid on any project that we do, if they have questions, maybe this is the right time to do it before it does go out to bid. It kind of clears up the air. And so I think anytime you're learning and you're getting information and you can provide information what our needs are as well, I think that's as transparent and as open as possible.
Based on that, I think it would be better to have a session where we invite everybody in, anybody interested in participating in the RFP. We can address all their questions and answer those questions at one time rather than have several meetings. I think that would be an appropriate way to address that.
Yeah, if you're worried about staff time and all that too, that might be appropriate as well. I don't have a problem with that.
So what I hear you suggesting is that we have a pre-meeting before we prepare the RFP to understand what questions and issues they may have. And then I would prepare the RFP and then let the RFP. That's how we would normally do something like that. That's the normal course of business.
So the RFP would come to us, we'd approve it, then you would let it.
Yes.
Yep.
And as you remember, all of our RFPs come to you, and anybody from the public can, and that's why we do that. No other city does that. We bring the RFP to you before we release it to the general public. So when it comes to you, you approve it, and anybody at the meeting can ask any question they want about that RFP process.
Commissioner Sargent.
Just for the record, I work for an insurance company in town, and I don't know at what point I'd need to seek legal to advise me where I can and can't be in meetings. I just don't want to overstep or do anything improper. So I just, before we go down the road any further, just want that on the record. So at whatever point Randy feels I need to step away, I just want that on the record. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right. So that's that issue. The Waste Pro contract, I have not heard a peep on that. I asked for a report as to why the dispute and why it looks like we're heading into another lawsuit with Waste Pro. Haven't heard a peep since the last meeting, and didn't hear a peep then. But I think this commission deserves an answer before we head off to court as far as what's going on, and if that can include the numbers, why the calculation process changed after the vote, basically all the things in the February 7th, I think it was, February 8th letter from the attorney for Waste Pro to Randy Hayes. So I know staff's got a million things going on. That one may have slipped through the cracks, but just wanted to let you know I'm still waiting for something on that.
I appreciate that, and we're still working with the city attorney's office, and we'll prepare a response for you.
Thank you. Thank you. Also, the public access on the property at Seminole, haven't heard anything on that either. I did pass that along to Councilman Kent. I know he's working on it. My concern with that is it seems like a bait and switch. In other words, we bring this public improvement that's going to happen in order to induce you to vote yes on this project, and we do that, and then it turns out, we're not actually doing that public improvement anymore. And so I don't know how to fix that. I want to make sure it never happens again. I don't want contingent public benefits coming to this commission or any commission, but I would like some answers on that particular issue, Deputy Mayor Bradley.
And Mr. Mayor, I just have a question. Maybe Randy could also answer this. Do we have any recourse on something like that? Since I believe, because we made that was part of the condition of the approval of that project. And if they, renegotiate that, is there any part of that that we can just kind of null and void on their project?
No, this is really, it's a county issue, right? So unfortunately, that's the answer to that. It's just another consequence of working staff trying to work with the county staff.
And I don't buy that that's a county issue. I think it's an Ormond Beach issue, and it's an our resident issue. So I would like more information on that. That just doesn't make sense that it would be brought to us as a public benefit and inducement to vote for the project, something that's in the county. So I don't know. There may be other solutions there, but I think we need to look more at that. Precious beach access. They're not making any more of it. And so rather than let this opportunity slide through our fingers because we were duped at a prior hearing, I don't want to allow that to happen. Let's see. I don't know if you've heard about the ruling from the administrative law judge for the Florida Department of Environmental Protection. Basically, my statement on that is that we were deeply disappointed with the recommendation to the FDEP secretary from the administrative law judge to dismiss the case on the air permit brought forth by S.R. Peratt. That decision does not reflect the end of our efforts, but serves to highlight the significant work still ahead. And we remain absolutely committed to protecting our community's health, safety, and the environment. Moving forward, we're going to continue to explore, as we do every single day, all available avenues, including advocating for alternative locations for the proposed facility to ensure our residents' concerns are addressed and their well-being is prioritized. So a little bit of a setback there, but it's just a recommendation. The FDEP secretary can still dismiss the air permit and put it back through the process. We think that's the right course of action. We're going to continue to advocate for that. But it doesn't seem to be heading that direction right now. And then I wanted to point out, because I do a terrible job of this, I think I mentioned him earlier, school board member Carl Persis is in the audience tonight. He did hear the concerns of our residents. He does listen and try. I remember he fought with us in 2021 to try to save Osceola. Excuse me, unsuccessfully. He argued to the entire board. Regrettably, they ignored him just like they ignored the rest of us. And it was during a pandemic, so it was kind of like fighting with your hands tied behind your back. But Councilmember Persis, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening, and we'll continue the fight, hopefully with better results this time around. And then I will close just by mentioning I was at the Performing Arts Center Saturday night for a performance of Ernie Haas and the Signature Sound. They did an amazing job. The crowd loved it. Ernie comes, I think, every other year to Ormond Beach. He loves the venue. Obviously, during the construction, he wasn't able to be here. But he, not only does he have his own gospel quartet, which is him and 3 other young men. They've got an incredible band. And then he sings with the Gaithers, who do incredible gospel music all around the country. They're actually playing at Calvary, I think Thursday night, if you can get there to see that. Tickets were a little pricey for me, but it's an incredible group. And that facility, we've already talked about it. I don't want to beat a dead horse, but it's just incredible. And the residents were loving it there on Saturday night. So with all that, we are adjourned. Thank you.